on the way home radio. What's good, Maniacs? It's your boy Manny. Call me Manny.com. This podcast is one of the many ways that I'm trying to stay in touch with you. If you consider yourself to be a fan of my music, you should go to callmemanny.com/get updates to learn more. I don't really like where the music industry is right now. There was a time where I felt like independent labels and major labels had way too much control over what the listener gets to hear. There was a time where I felt like this is not good for the music industry. They're not showing us talented musicians. They're only just trying to make money, so they're finding outlandish people, outlandish artists, people that are controversial, anybody that can make noise, right? It's beyond the music. They happen to make music too, but more importantly, they make noise. And I felt like that was a problem. I felt like they weren't picking the right people. I used to blame them. I said, it's your fault that we get crap music in the radio. And then there was this kind of shift, when, the Napster era, LimeWire, people were just downloading music. They could listen to anybody. All of a sudden, they didn't need to pay money to do it, and they weren't strictly bound to what they were listening to on radio. So they were just downloading things. So this kind of opened things up for anybody. There was also more technology. There was the availability for independent artists to be able to make music from home. They don't need a professional studio to make high quality music. So all these things were happening, right? And so I was like, this is great. This is literally taking away control from the independent and the major labels and the people with money who are just looking for people that make noise. And now they're giving the power to the artist. The only problem is that the artist doesn't really have too much of a way to monetize yet at the time. The only way they could really monetize is by essentially giving their music away for free, building enough of a fan base that they would be able to go on tour. Actually, so, an artist that I know did this was The Weeknd. He gave away, House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence, which ended up being on Trilogy, for free downloads on his website. I remember going to theweeknd.com and downloading these songs, these albums, these EPs. And I remember going on The Weeknd's website and literally pressing refresh multiple times, just waiting for the day for Thursday to drop. And I was so happy when it happened. But anyway, so I just thought it was so cool. Like, artists can literally just release music for free and anybody can listen to it. And so that's what I did. I did that. I gave out my music for free. I got to update my thumbnails on my on my YouTube because like some of my older songs that are only available on YouTube, it used to put on the thumbnail download link, and there was I think of my YouTube introduction video, which is super old. On it, I was like, all my songs are available for free download on my website, callmemanny.com. I've had that domain, by the way, for since 2007, 8 maybe, like 12, 13 years. It's crazy. It's Call Me Manny brand. So embedded. Anyways, so artists can now put out their own music, and they don't need labels. And then this kind of continued to grow into more and more. And now we're really at a point where the labels, I feel like, are completely losing their reign. They have reign in the playlist field, which is why I encourage all of you to start following different playlists, not necessarily the playlists that are the most popular, because the ones that are most popular are playlists that are literally ran by the music labels. So they're curating their artists into those playlists. They're telling you what to listen to and you don't even know it. They're the new fashion DJs. So they have so much control over these playlists. And all these playlists, they're like all owned by the same label. It's like there's like 30 playlists that are all popular. They're all owned by the label, and they're just kind of tricking you into listening to their artists. Which is why it's so hard for an independent artist like myself, for example, to get featured on one of these playlists, because why would they want me to blow up? I'm competition for them. You know, every second you spend listening to me is a second you don't spend listening to Drake or The Weeknd or something like that. So they don't want that, especially if they don't, if there's no vested interest, right? They're not making money when I make money, as opposed to other artists. They make more money than the artist. So of course they're going to encourage people to listen to their artists. That's how they're making their money. Okay, makes sense. So they have a lot of power when it comes to playlists, but they're losing overall power when it comes to controlling who people listen to. They're trying to figure this part out. So, okay, this is great, right? So now the listener has control over what they're going to listen to. And so, you know, that means that these labels that are picking these artists that are just making noise, not necessarily good at music, but they just controversial. So that means that now we have control. And so we're going to listen to the music that's great. That's not what's happening at all. In fact, it's just getting dumbed down. And I think I am an optimist. I think we're at a point where, okay, we're allowing it to happen. We're just letting garbage music, in my eyes, I apologize if I'm offending, or kind of not. If you're making garbage music, you're making garbage music. But I think we're allowing this garbage music to come to our lives because it's funny, it's fun, it's somewhat entertaining. But I think there's a really good quote at the end of Drake's, it was on Pound Cake. It was at the beginning of Pound Cake. He said, only real music's going to last. All the other bull, I'm going to keep this clean, is here today, gone tomorrow. I believe that. I believe a lot of these artists today are going to be forgotten. They're not going to be relevant long term. Now, who the hell am I? I mean, I'm some guy who, you know, made a couple songs that happened to go viral in the past and clearly wasn't able to make anything out of it. I still work my daytime job. But whatever, you know, I like to think that I'm making music that is somewhat timeless. Out My Way, for example, is a song that's about to be a decade old. And I know that there's still people listening to it. And even in fact, today, somebody had messaged me saying specifically that the song touched them and that they just heard it yesterday. They thought it was new. They thought it was a brand new song. So it's still making an impact on some people's lives today. So timeless. I love that. Like, I need to continue to release music because that feeling is like, it's just fire. So anyways, yeah, so people are just allowing all of this trash music to kind of enter. And so it kind of has me at a point right now where I hate where music's at right now. I really do. I'm not okay with it. I listen to new music every single Friday. You know, I try to find as many new songs as possible. And I narrow it down to some songs that I kind of like, some songs that I think are really talented. And I add 5 songs to a playlist that I have on Spotify called On The Way Home Music. You can find this playlist on callmemanny.com/playlists, or just go to callmemanny.com and click playlist. So this playlist for me is mainly the point I wanted to make, because I talk to a lot of people that say that music is trash today. So the point I wanted to make was that, yeah, the majority of music that comes out today, in my opinion, is trash. But there's still some gems. There's still some really great, talented artists. And I just think it's so interesting too, because I'll find a particular song. There's a song by Mahalia. Damn, I'm trying to remember the name of the song. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So there's a song by Mahalia that is it Simmer? I think it's Simmer. I'm going to play this real quick, but I'm going to edit it out so it doesn't come off on the playlist. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right. So it's Simmer. So Simmer featuring Burna Boy. It caught me off guard. I thought it was Simmer, but then I saw Burna Boy and I was like, I was just listening to Burna Boy's album. I actually just added him to the playlist. And so I think this is the first time that I found out about Burna Boy. Now, because like I was just looking at the name, I was like, man, was it a song featuring Burna Boy? But I don't think I really knew who he was at the time. Interesting. Anyway, so that song, if it would have been Rihanna, for example, well, number one on the radio. Easily. It would have been number one on the radio. And so therefore, if you like Rihanna and you've never heard this song Simmer by Mahalia, go listen to it. You're going to love it. And if you would have heard it from Rihanna, number one on the radio. Guarantee it. So there's a lot of like really, really great songs by unknown artists that would be all over the place if it was just from somebody that I suppose makes more noise. I'm not saying Rihanna is a trash artist. I actually think Rihanna is very talented, but she's somebody that, you know, has had the longevity in the music industry. She's been doing this for a long time. So there are some great, I'm not saying every artist, every song that comes out today is trash. I'm just saying that the majority of it is. I'm not saying that music labels only select artists who are trash because they make noise. I'm saying that the majority of them are. And then simultaneously, I'm not saying that us as listeners or this community of listeners that are listening to whatever new garbage is coming out today, that not everything that they listen to is trash. There's clearly some great things that are coming out as well. I just think the majority of it is. So anyways, this is a challenge to all of my fans. And I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir because the only people that are listening to this podcast are going to be the people that like my music. And if you like my music, you probably like real music and music with meaning and purpose and not, you know, for lack of a better term, mumble garbage. I scroll through the Rap Genius. I scroll through the Rap, is it Rap Genius? I don't even know. Rap Caviar, the Rap Caviar Spotify playlist. And I don't even know none of these artists anymore. It took me so long, and I know I'm going to lose the Gen Z crowd that might be watching this, but it took me so long to know which one was Lil Baby and which one was the Baby. I had to end up watching a couple music videos or one music video to find out. But it's just so confusing to me that they're making songs together. They have multiple songs together, right? It's like maybe one time it would have been like, okay, that's funny. It's a Lil Baby featuring the Baby song. But then there's a the Baby featuring Lil Baby. And it's like, how many? Anyways. And I guess it's just also so weird that they're both like simultaneously big artists. And then also working together. And I guess that's another thing that's kind of interesting about the music industry today. I feel like there's less beef. A lot of artists are just working with each other. And which is cool. I guess that's a good thing. But I also think that and I could be completely wrong with this. I know the music industry was very different back then, but I think that the beefs back then were very fabricated just to create news. Again, people that can make noise will sell more. Okay. So I guess this is more like a venting session. All in all, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know. Sorry, going back. Okay. All right. So what I was going to say was that I wanted to have a challenge for you as a listener to stop streaming garbage music. Don't do it. Because it's going to take a collective. It's literally going to take you telling people, I don't listen to that because it's not good. And then, them saying, oh, I don't listen to it because, my best friend doesn't listen to it because it's not good. And then just kind of this spider web of people making it cool, I guess, or popular to only listen to talented artists, only listen to good music, music with meaning, music with purpose. I think about the 90s. I love 90s R&B. Those of you that know me that are following social media, I love 90s R&B. I feel like they had so much meaning in so many of these songs. And when I look at, songs that got to #1 on the radio, I think about One Sweet Day by Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey, and I just think about the power in the lyrics to that song, as opposed to, #1 today, which is WAP. I mean, I love Cardi. Shout out to the Dominicans. I think, she's definitely holding it down. I love the Bronx. The Bronx has always been, playing my music, and I really appreciate that. And I like Cardi B. I think she's fun. She's entertaining. She definitely works hard. A lot of people look at her like, oh, she just blew up because of Bodak Yellow. I am somebody that studies this. It took a lot of time for her to get to Bodak Yellow, right? I appreciate the hard work and effort that she did to get there. And I also appreciate the hard work and effort that she's doing right now to maintain her relevance. You're talking about somebody that already has a Super Bowl performance. But anyways, I'm just saying there's a stark difference between One Sweet Day and WAP. And I'm sure you could go back into the 90s and probably find a #1 single that was like, I don't know, that's, just nonsense. And it's like, how did that get to, somebody's going to say, well, Manny, what about the Macarena? That song was crap. I get it. All right, fine. There's always, there's two sides to a coin, right? But man, One Sweet Day was a powerful record. Anyways, so this is my venting session for today. Just talking about how much. Oh, I got one last thing that I want to talk about in today's music industry. Albums. I think that the way music is designed today, it is destroying the artistic direction of an album. I believe that, there was something to be said about the put out a single so that there could be a body of work. And I know a lot of you could make the argument that, well, they promoted the single. It kind of, it kind of baited you to buying the album. And in the album, they just had cuts. Like they had none of the great songs. And then each additional album, they just saved the best songs for each additional album. I think about, there's definitely some artists from that era, from the 90s era, that they literally only had one good song on the entire album, but they had hits, right? Like every album had a hit. So it's like clear to me that the label was like, hey, this song is really good. We're not just going to throw this as like a throwaway song in your album. We're going to make this the single of your follow-up album. I'm sure that happened. But there were definitely some artists that took the time to make their albums bodies of work. And I think that there are some artists still doing that today, but it's few and far between. And the reason why is because today's music industry is like social media. It's all around an algorithm. The more you release music, the same way you post more on Instagram, the more you're able to trigger the algorithm. And so therefore, it doesn't make sense to release an EP or an album. It makes sense to just drop a single, drop a single, drop a single, drop a single. And man, I've had so many people actually tell me that it's like, oh, your marketing for Prequel was completely off, which it was, by the way. It's a whole nother conversation I can have on another podcast episode maybe. But they argued that what I should have done was released I had 9 songs on Prequel. I should have released one song every single month, for example. And also would have helped me be kind of ahead of myself. Right now, I'm way behind, right? I'm trying to finish a new song. The last time I released a song was in January, and I actually had a goal for myself to release 12 songs this year. My goals, by the way, are set on my birthday. I'd prefer to think of it as, okay, when I was 30, this is what I did. When I was 31, I did this, So as opposed to, oh, in 2019, I did this. In 2020, I did this. I don't really think about it that way. I think about my life in my own personal years. So anyways, I have until November 20th to release 10 more songs. It's not going to happen. As much as I would want it to, It's like, oh, Manny, but it could happen if you just stopped recording podcast episodes and YouTube videos and just, made more music. Look, this is not taking away time from me making music, because this is just not, actually, this could be helping me because I'm talking to my microphone. I'm spending more time in front of my mic, and it's making me kind of get into some sort of flow. I'm just going to be honest. If I wasn't talking to this microphone right now, I'd be talking to my fiance. I'd be talking to some of my friends of mine about the same nonsense. And so this conversation would be happening regardless. So a lot of people that know me that are listening to this podcast are like, oh, he's saying the same things he always says. I just never said them. I don't know why. I don't know. I just never it could be. There's a part of me that likes YouTube and podcasts more than Instagram or Twitter, for example, because I don't think quickly. I can think quick on my feet, but I don't make quick points. I have long conversations. So I like this. I like this setup. I like the structure. I like being able to just talk and not even have to worry about a time frame. How long this podcast is, or how long anything that I'm doing is. And I guess over time, I'm going to find out how many of y'all even listen to this all the way through. But yeah, this is more in tune with who I am. Anyways, I am so sidetracked off topic. So yeah, reverting back, the industry today has lost the album. The art of an album. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, this was episode 2. Again, if you haven't listened to episode 1, make sure you go do that so you can get an idea of what I'm doing here. Because if not, you're gonna say, what's the point of this podcast? Or you're going to listen to episode 3 and you're going to be like, all right, where's the consistency of this podcast? I don't even know what's happening here. So again, go listen to episode 1 so you can get the why I started a podcast and get a better understanding of what's happening there. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you are listening to this on Apple Music, well, I'm not on Apple Music yet. That's a story. I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm on Spotify. It's funny because I say I'm not on Apple Music, but eventually I will be on Apple Music. So you might hear this while I'm on Apple Music. And so if you do hear this on Apple Music, welcome. But anyway, so if you're listening on any of these platforms, go to callmemanny.com and click contact so you can reach out to me. You can email me, send me a voice message. If you send me a voice message, I might throw it into my following podcast episode. Also, you can text me. My number is 754-799-0044. That's 754-799-0044. Anybody that gets this far into the podcast that actually hears that number is definitely going to connect with me. You can also, or I also recommend that you go to callmemanny.com/get updates so you can learn more about me and my music and my podcast and my YouTube videos and my social media posts and everything else that I'm trying to do to communicate with you all. All right, cool. So thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me that you listen. Make sure you share this podcast with one friend. And as always, be great. Not good, not fine, okay. Be great. Why do I say that, by the way? I'm just going to end the podcast with why I say that. I say that because there's actually an artist or a group of artists, a couple dudes that I like that they're called Great, Good, Fine, Okay. Great music. But ever since I first heard about them, I used to think about that. Great, good, fine, okay. It's like a levels. You're either okay. If you're not okay, you're fine. If you're not fine, you're good. Or I should have said that backwards. You're either great. If you're not great, you're good. If you're not good, you're fine. And you're not fine, you're okay. It's like levels. And so whenever I would go to work, I would ask somebody, how are you doing today? And they would say, okay. It's like, okay, that's the worst thing on the scale. What can I do to help you go from okay to fine? And then, usually they'll laugh and they'll say, you know what, I'm actually doing good. And I say, well, what can I do to help you go from good to great? And they'd be like, you know what, Manny, I am fantastic. Great. I'm so glad that you're fantastic. But you first said that you were okay, so talk to me. What's going on? But anyway, so it was like a good gauge for me. So whenever I meet anybody and they tell me that they're just doing okay or they're good, I always say, what can I do to help you go from good to great? Or what can I do to help you go from fine to good? So any response there. And a lot of the people that know me know that I do that. So when I ask them the question, they always respond saying, wonderful. My life is close to perfect. Fantastic. Things like that. And so anyway, so I encourage all of you to be great. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about that on my next episode. So, but again, be great. On the Way Home Radio.